United Speed Alliance Racing sends out your wake-up call with the Hooters Pro Cup Series 2001. Yes, time is running out for the drivers in the Southern Division to qualify for the Four Champions Challenge. And that last call goes out right now from Hickory Motor Speedway in Hickory, North Carolina. With only 3 races remaining in the season, it's the Naturally Fresh Dressings 250 presented by Johnsonville Bratwurst. I'm Brian Drebber. Gene Crane is alongside me here in the broadcast booth. Mark Allen will be roaming around downstairs all evening long. Right now, we've got a report from Mark.
The biggest challenge at Hickory Motor Speedway is turns 1 and 2. You can see the dark rubber up in the second lane as you enter the corner. That's where you've got to come into it. But by the time you get to the apex of the corner and a little past, which is where I'm standing, your left side tires have got to be right down here at this yellow line without getting onto the track apron. The reason for that is simple. Just past me, the track flattens out exiting turn 2. If you're down to the inside, you can get all the way back into the throttle and charge down the backstretch. But if you're up in the second lane, you've got to roll into the throttle more slowly, or even worse, if you get into it too quick, you may pop the outside wall.
All right, Mark covered turns 1 and 2 pretty well, but of course there is an entire lap around this racetrack before you get back to that, which he said is the most important. Nice crowd settling into their seats here. So, Gene, let's take a look at the rest of Hickory Motor Speedway.
Thank you, Brian. Just a little bit less than 3/8 of a mile, Hickory Motor Speedway. The back straightaway, the straighter of the two. Here we are on board Steve Christian's car down into turns 1 and 2. Up wide just a little bit now, pinching down to the left, like Mark talked about, down the straightaway. It kind of throws you out to the outside. Very brief rest as you dive into turn 3. Put it hard, off of turn 4. You've got to crank it hard to keep off the wall and back across start finish here. Very tight little racetrack.
And the fans here know very well what it takes to get around quickly. Let's go back downstairs. Mark Allen has now made his way over to the starting grid for our Lance Snacks Pole Award.
Guys, an interesting mix in the top 2 rows. Bill Plemons Jr. last week in the North Series was leading the race, had to come in about halfway for his tires. It started to rain, breaks of the game. He lost the race. Starting on the inside of the second row is a driver making only his 3rd career Pro Cup start, Scott Hall, his best starting position to date. On the outside of the front row is John Curley. It ties the best qualifying effort he's ever had in the series. The guy who beat him last time for the pole is the guy who beat him this time. Mario Goslin, our Lance Snacks Pole Award winner by 8 1/1000ths of a second. What will it take to turn the pole into victory tonight?
Well, a good smooth 250 laps, which is going to be real hard to do here. Carter Granell, Eastern Metal, Polar Guard Ford Taurus has been good all day on long runs. We made some changes late to get our qualifying effort up a little bit. We didn't feel like we were going to qualify very well, and evidently it worked. I just hope we didn't sacrifice our race setup too much.
You haven't been able to get to victory lane here before. What have you learned from the past races that you'll try to put into practice tonight?
Well, you know, watched Bobby a few times here. He's won a few, and he's pretty tough to beat here, and he usually pits pretty late. And biggest problem with that is if you try to wait too long and some of these guys are going to come in and get tires, you could get a lap down. That's what we got to do is keep from getting a lap down, but get them tires as late as we can.
Our Lance Snacks Pole Award winner, Mario Goslin, his 8th top 5, his 5th front row and 3rd pole of the season.
Coverage of the USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series has been brought to you by Hooters Restaurants. Hooters, delightfully tacky yet unrefined. And by Naturally Fresh Dressings. It's not just our name, it's our promise. By Jackaroo Sauces. Jackaroo tastes so great they named a steakhouse after us. And by Miller Lite, the great taste of a true Pilsner beer. And by Lucas Oil Products, the official lubricant of USAR and a worldwide leader in heavy-duty and high-performance lubricants.
Welcome back to Hickory. Some of the youngsters enjoying the facilities around here while mom and dad and the rest of the family have taken up more traditional vantage points, waiting for the start of this race. And of course, that's what we all wait for. So let's go to our Grand Marshal for the most famous words in motorsports.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Jeff Jarvis from Johnsonville. A couple of guys jumped the gun on him a little bit there.
They're ready to go racing here tonight.
Yeah, you bet. He took it with good humor, and we can understand how some of these guys would be awful anxious to get this race underway. Time is running out, 250 laps. After that, 2 more races, and then it's championship time in the Hooters Pro Cup Series 2001. So the cars are rolling out onto the racetrack and getting ready to get underway here. on what is a pretty nice evening for racing. And our Renegade race weather report, Gene Crane.
84 degrees as we get ready for the start of tonight's race. No real wind to speak of. Everything looks great here, and a great crowd along with the Hooters girls here at Hickory Motor Speedway to go racing.
Our Jackaroo Sauce's starting grid begins with Mario Gosselin, as we mentioned, his third pole of the year alongside America's Most Wanted 1-800-CRIME TV, his best qualifying effort for 2001, John Curley. Scott Hall's best effort and Bill Clement's 9th top 5 qualifying here in the 2001 season.
Moving to row number 3, Jason Sarvis on the inside of the Bryant and Carolina Energies Chevrolet. Hal Goodson has his Taylor Motorsports number 45 on the outside. Row number 4, Stacy Perrier, his Naturally Fresh Foods Chevrolet number 11 on the inside. And Toby Robertson, the Johnsonville Hot and Spicy Chevrolet on the outside.
Row 5 starts with Steve Christian, the Lucas Oil Products Armo Grading Ford alongside Jeremy Bowser in the Perk Chassis entry. Curtis Davidson, the 00, begins row number 6 in the Broadway Motor Company Document Tech Chevrolet, and Martin Esmond, the Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina, number 30.
A couple of veterans in row number 7. Chuck Pound, who won a Grand National race here about 10 years ago. He'll start on the inside of row number 7, the CrewSchool.com entry. And Bobby Gill, defending champion of the Pro Cup Series, his Triple Diamond Enterprises number 5. Shane Sieg, S&W Motorsports 139 on the inside of row 8. And Shane Huffman on the outside, the number 84 Johnsonville Bratwurst car, hometown hero here.
Keith Woody in the Cycle Sorcery Chevrolet. Number 8, Jay Fogelman in his 2-minute warning Cooper family Ford naturally. Number 22, Del Murphy takes the Jackaroo Meat Sauces Alltel Chevrolet from row number 10 alongside Lee Tissett in the Cars Plus Honda Yamaha Statesville Chevy.
John Kender back on board on the inside of row number 11. It is number 08 Multimedia Graphics entry. Mark Setzer makes his first ever start in the Galaxy Food Diamond Enterprises number 99. Mike Laughlin Jr. struggled in qualifying. He's on the inside of row 12 with his Carolina Kit Car number 7. And Jimmy McLean, the Advanced Construction Technologies Chevy number 3.
New car, new paint job for Don Satterfield in the Hawk Saw Blades Chevy. And a first ever start for Ashley Huffman in the Dwight Huffman Racing Pontiac. Danny Salmons, Fred Trailer Repair Ford, goes on row number 14 with Shane Wallace in the E.M. Wallace Chevrolet.
Provisional starters, Daniel Johnson will take the Happy Hunting Ground number 56 from the inside of row number 16. And Chris Gordon joins him on the outside, having to borrow a car, the Paxton Stewart Land Company entry. Joe Harrison Jr. and R.D. Smith from the Hot Rod Magazine Chevrolet wind up the final 2 starters for tonight's Naturally Fresh Dressings 250.
Climb on board with Stephen Christian, the Lucas Oil Products number 16 from his number 9 start position. So you're looking at the first 4 rows in front of him. And then on board with the 22 of Del Murphy, the Jackaroo Meat Sauces car. That's going to start from the 19th start position. So you're seeing a little less than half the field behind Del Murphy at the moment. And there is the crowd, most of whom have now settled into their seats for the start of this race. The Naturally Fresh Dressings 250 presented by Johnsonville Bratwurst, just moments from starting. As the pace car gets ready to pull off the racetrack, turns Mario Gosselin and John Curley loose from the front row, and the rest of them will follow along behind. There goes the pace car down onto pit road. Mario Gosselin will control the start. John Curley's keeping him close. And there's the green flag in the hands of Chris Brockman, who is the manager of the brand new Hooters restaurant here in Hickory. And we are underway. 250 laps of racing. And side by side go Curley and Gosselin.
John Curley, the Catawba Valley. Oh, a lot of smoke back there right in the middle of the pack. Looked like a couple of fenders rubbing early here today.
Yeah, well, there was something going on that created a puff of smoke and split the field. It looked like we may have a problem a little bit deeper in the field as Gosselin now controls the pace, gets down in front of Curley, and we've got a problem under the hood. Well, the hood is laying on the windshield of Shane Wallace's number 4 E.M. Wallace Chevrolet. That is a huge problem for him visibility-wise. The field continues as he tries to get down off the racetrack.
It's like somebody forgot to put the hood pins in on his number 4. Mario Gosselin has got the lead, but John Curley, whose crew and the entire team come from just down the street from Hickory Motor Speedway, not even a quarter mile from the racetrack itself at Catawba Valley Community College. They're showing very well here today so far.
Well, you would expect that. They get a lot of laps around Hickory and their development programs. They come here very often to test. And John Curley knows his way around the racetrack, and we would assume that the Catawba Valley Community College team knows how to put a car together for this 3/8 mile.
It's like a pretty good battle right here for 8th between Jeremy Bowser and Stacy Perrier. Perrier up there on the outside also has Steve Christian, That onboard camera right behind them, so a pretty good race there as they go side by side just inside the top 10 with the 00 of Curtis Davis and a brand new sponsor on that car here this evening.
Stephen Christian watching to see which one of them gets the best of it, and he'll pick a spot behind whoever goes by. But Bowser and we got a problem, and that is Joe Harrison Jr. The Harrison's Automotive Chevrolet up against the wall there. We're not sure, can't see it from this vantage point, how much damage. Doesn't look like a whole lot. Apparently, veteran Joe Harrison kept the car off the wall, but we're not sure exactly what put him up there. We were sort of watching elsewhere on the racetrack. We'll take a little break from the action here. You can see a few folks heading for the concession stands as Joe Harrison gets his car turned the right way. Welcome back to Hickory, North Carolina. The Naturally Fresh Dressings 250, standing room only at the top of the grandstand. A lot of the spotters have chosen the best vantage point they can find to make sure that they have the best information possible for their drivers. As the Hooters girls work the grandstands a little bit lower down there, no problem handing out Hooters girls posters this evening. And getting autographs apparently is a pretty easy thing too for some of the younger fans. They've enjoyed the autograph session prior to the start. Well, we had a few laps of racing, and now we're going to go racing again with Mario Gosselin taking the green flag ahead of John Curley, and then the 54 of Scott Hall out of Walkertown, North Carolina, and the Taylor Motorsports team car of Hal Goodson. Our USAR field summary after 12 laps, most of them under caution. Here's the way they stack up. Stephen Christian finishes the top 10, just behind that battle behind Puryear and Bowser. Up front, Mario Gosselin still in control, edging away, coming off the corner with John Curley, who gets in nicely, down low, but then just can't quite get a nose under.
On that restart, Brian, the teammate to Scott Hall, Hal Goodson, who has been running with us on a very consistent basis, in fact, made his very first start here at Hickory with the Taylor Motorsports Group. He tried to go to the outside of Bill Clemens Jr. on the start. Clemens got that preferred line down there at 1 and 2, so he had to settle back into position 6. Behind them, we've got Ashley Huffman in the 77 and Martin Nesbitt in the 30, who's coming off his career best run 2 weeks ago at New River Valley Speedway, doing a pretty good job running side by side off of turn 2.
Well, and Ashley Huffman definitely making some forward progress, while Nesbitt has kind of gone backwards a little bit since the start. Nesbitt started 12th and Huffman 26th, but you can see that they have found each other on the racetrack. There is Scott Hall going around the number 92 of Jason Sarvis in the Bryant Carolina Energies Chevrolet. They've got a little tussle going there with Bill Clemens just behind him in the Hooters number 15.
Yeah, Sarvis is downstairs. He's got to pinch the car just a little tight up off the corner. That gives Hall a chance to run from the outside and hang on to the third spot. But Sarvis is not giving up on the inside, and Clemens looks like his car really wants to run downstairs. He can turn right in the middle of the corner, keep that car down low all the way through. So he's looking for a line to try to get by those two. And then, of course, the battle's starting to shape up there with Goodson. He's got Robertson, another good run for Toby Robertson tonight.
Absolutely, and Scott Hall seems to be a little bit loose coming off the corners there, riding very high on the racetrack. A little incidental contact between the 92 and the 54. Bill Clemens is now under, and apparently it's that low line that's working well for the two race cars that have, well, one of them's already passed Hall and the other one's looking to do so.
Well, Bill Clemens Jr., as Mark related to 1 week ago, gave up an opportunity to win the race to come down pit road. Rain unfortunately shortened that race at Winchester, Indiana. He loved that racetrack. High banks. We come now to a short, flatter racetrack, and Bill Clemens Jr. is putting some of his dirt track experience to work as he was actually putting the left side tires underneath the yellow line down on the safety apron.
We got a caution out, and it's Bill Clemens Jr., the aforementioned number 15, involved as he gets going in the almost correct direction. He's going to have to reverse up the racetrack and then get going again using some of the grass, but Bill Clemens Jr. with a little left front damage. Racing for position out on the racetrack. We'll have a look from on board. You can see Bill Clemens Jr. going around there underneath the 54 of Hall and does a good job to keep it off the wall. Apparently racing hard down there. Two cars going for the same spot on the racetrack, and Bill Clemens Jr. comes out on the short end of it. Lee Tissett also involved, checking up behind the crash in his number 55, the Invisible Man, or the former Invisible Man.
He's probably wishing that car was a Mirage right now.
Yeah, that he's got it shortened up just a little bit there, and it's aerodynamically challenged. Hopefully no damage underneath the sheet metal. R.D. Smith in the Hot Rod Magazine entry has ducked down onto pit road. Pits go all the way around through the infield area here at Hickory, so while it looks like he's heading behind the wall, no, he's just returning to the racetrack.
Just saw a glimpse down there on pit road, saw Martin Nesbitt talking to one of the Pro Cup officials. Martin Nesbitt, the 30 car, there's a brake problem on that car. It sounds like he may have to run the race with limited braking.
So we'll take another break from the action here at the Naturally Fresh Dressings 250 and be right back. Welcome back to Hickory, and we're getting set to go back to the green flag here shortly. Mario Gosselin has led every lap, qualified on the pole, but it's still way too early to hand this one to anybody just because they're running up front. John Curley, we know, has a lot of laps around here and is certainly plotting his strategy to make a pass. And there are some very good race cars that have made their way forward, a few that have had problems. And we go back to the green flag, 27 laps into this 250-lap race. There are the teammate Taylor Motorsports cars running alongside one another. And a look at our Naturally Fresh Mountain Spring Water leaderboard. The top 10 and the faces behind the helmets and in the cockpits of these race cars. So very early in the race, Mario Gosselin still with a car length advantage over John Curley. Those two running very similar lines around the racetrack. And the 92 of Jason Sarvis and the Bryant Heating and Cooling Carolina Energies Black's Tire Service Chevrolet, carrying a lot of sponsorship, doing a great job with that car since he and Stacy Purrier switched seats. Both of them have been doing very well, thank you very much. Bobby Gill, the defending series champion, running in a battle for 14th position, knows a lot about Hickory Motor Speedway, doesn't he?
Being here is, if you go out and run a good qualifying run, you run up front, eventually your car's going to be loose at the end. We usually don't qualify good here. Our car is usually too tight qualifying, but in the long run, that helps us out. You get one set of tires, extra set of tires, and you race 250 laps, so you need to go at least halfway for a set of tires, or maybe 130, 40 laps before you pit. And just being tight at the end, this place gets real loose at the end, and that's the biggest thing.
Well, Brian, another part of the strategy here, though, is that with only 0.7 of a second separating first from 30th in the qualifying sheets, you've got to free the car up to go fast to get in the show, but you don't want to free it up too much so that the car is just a handful when we go racing. Of course, the Pro Cup Series, you qualify race ready. So there are no adjustments allowed after qualifying before these drivers get in the race cars and start the event.
Bobby Gill's 4th win of the season tied him in career victories with Mario Gosselin at 16 apiece. Gosselin running up front right now, and Bobby Gill a little bit deeper in the field, trying to make up for his admittedly poor qualifying here at Hickory. But that's a man with the long view always in sight. He is a far-sighted fellow, and it has nothing to do with whether he needs glasses. A lot of cars running on the racetrack. Martin Nesbitt having problems in the race. Fell back pretty severely from his number 12 start spot. Mark Allen with more on that.
Guys, an update on Mark Nesbitt. We talked about the brake caliper that had come off the car. It actually sheared off. The only thing the team could do was to shut off that brake line so it didn't leak. So in effect, Mark Nesbitt is running on 3 brakes the rest of the race.
Good thing it was a rear brake, and 75% braking left rear and both fronts. That's something he's going to have to drive around for a while, and he's going to have to get pretty creative trying to keep that race car on a good line.
That was an old trick used on the dirt tracks years ago to pinch off one of those brakes and actually try to get the car to steer around the corner using the brakes. But most series and most organizations have mandated that you have 4 properly working brakes, at least when you start the race. They're doing all they can right now. And Nesbitt, who this is really his hometown track, he's got a lot of laps here, so this may be a difficult situation for him, but he's done this before. He's been in this situation before and actually finished 3rd with a sway bar problem if we look back into the spring race here at Hickory.
Sarvis moving up to the number 2 spot, and now that he has done so, both he and Mario Gosselin are kind of edging away from the rest of the field. By far the biggest lead of the race. They're behind the tail end of the starting field about as much as they are ahead of the battle for 3rd place. We go a little bit deeper in the field. Bill Plemons Jr. with an incident earlier in the race. He finds himself in the company of the 99 of Mark Setzer, the Galaxy Foods Diamond Enterprises Chevrolet. that we have often seen with a different driver in the Hooters Pro Cup Series.
Chris Diamond, normally the pilot of the number 99, but Mark Setzer with a lot of laps here at Hickory. They decided to put Mark in the race car and give him a shot. He made it into the field very nicely today and has put together a pretty good run so far.
There's John Curley racing with Hal Goodson, and Hal Goodson is moving forward while Curley seems to be losing positions. Goodson started 6th. Curley started on the outside of the front row, and now they're side by side for position and behind the leaders who are already into traffic. Coming by the start-finish line, Curley with a much higher line, Goodson working down low. We've seen that low groove be the fast way around the racetrack, and cars moving up through the field have done so on the low line. There is Mario Gosselin, who is your race leader. Goodson and Curley still trying to decide third place. And let's call it a draw.
Now, Curley's doing a pretty good job on the outside. When he can keep Goodson pinched down to the inside and not have a good line off the corner, he can get the run and actually get a nose out front. Looks like he's able to get it done as Goodson's car lost a little traction there off the corner.
Technically, Curley is still scored in third position. He noses across start-finish line there every time they come by, but they are making a race out of it. Here's Mark Nesbitt. Nesbitt and the 8 of Jay Fogelman, the 2-minute warning Ford. One of our top points contenders, and our Goodyear full field rundown will show you where they and everybody else are running. Curtis Davis and Chuck Bound rounding out the top 10. Christian firmly in 8th position. Keith Woody in the number 83 there are Fogelman and Nesbitt, who started 12th, moved back into the field and has begun to make up positions rather handily so far.
Doing a good job.
And here is Curley and Goodson again racing in third position as we look at the rest of our Goodyear full field rundown, all the way to Joe Harrison Jr., who was involved in a problem there, and we have had a couple of cars retire from the race, notably Shane Wallace and Chris Gordon, both with mechanical and another problem. This time the 77 of Ashley Huffman involved. We saw him racing with Nesbitt earlier back in 27th position. He started 26th. Now he spun on the racetrack, and some of our VIP guests up on the balcony in the Johnsonville hospitality area had a bird's eye view of that one. So we are going to have some early pit opportunities here as the number 58 of Jeremy Bowser, the Perk Chassis Ford, goes down onto pit road, as does the 99 that we saw with Mark Setzer behind the wheel. Looking from on board with Del Murphy, he's going to stay out on the racetrack. And the 77 car that spun a moment ago, Ashley Huffman, has joined him. So he's back in the race. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back to the Naturally Fresh Dressings 250, presented by Johnsonville Bratwurst at Hickory Motor Speedway, round 12, the Southern Division. Starting tonight, 3 races remain in the southern half of the season. The Northern Division guys are winding up their part of the year too, and then they all get together. Well, the top 25 in each division are invited to the 4 Champions Challenge series of 5 races at the end of the year to determine our 2001 Hooters Pro Cup champion. 2-time defending champion Bobby Gill is in the field here, and in the Southern Division, Mario Gosselin, tied for all-time wins with Bobby Gill, is leading this race. Lead lap cars up on the high side of the racetrack and the lap cars down low, some of them scurrying back from pit stops. As we get ready to go to the green flag once again, and boy, Gosselin jumped on the gas early this time.
He's got the gear, and Service is going to have a challenge with Hal Goodson right there on his rear bumper. They're going to try to get by that lap traffic, but I can guarantee you Goodson, who did make a pass on his teammate Scott Hall on the outside, he's got a car that's pretty stout tonight.
Well, Hal Goodson is stout everywhere he goes. One of the championship contenders, or one of the top point scorers. We can't really call him a championship contender yet, but they are all the drivers in the Southern Series. Bobby Gill and the ones who are atop the standings. Jay Fogelman has been up there. Hal Goodson is up there. These are the fellas that are trying to get an edge. Stephen Christian, etc., trying to get an edge when they go to that 4 Champions Challenge Series at the end of the year. Our next race date for the Northern Division drivers at Ileana Speedway in Indiana, Saturday, August 11th, 7:30 p.m. Green flag. We want to see you there. Carlin Financial Cars number 45 and 54, Hal Goodson and Scott Hall in look-alike automobiles, running 3rd and 5th right now. On board with Stephen Christian, staring right at the back end of the number 11 of Stacy Puryear, the Naturally Fresh Foods Chevrolet. Clarence's Steakhouse also on the car. That's what you can read on the back there. Now Christian looking a little bit higher up the racetrack at the 23 of Toby Robertson, his Johnsonville Hot and Spicy Chevrolet. And back to the wide view. A lot of activity around Bobby Gill, who's patiently working his way forward in this race. We heard him talk about setting the car up too tight for qualifying, and it'll be too loose by the end of the race. But somewhere in the middle are going to be a lot of laps when a race car that's properly adjusted for Hickory is going to be very good. Robertson and Puryear for position. Little chirp off the 61 there. Chuck Bound, the crewschool.com Chevrolet, maybe a little too much rear brake bias. He had to get in it awful hard and stay off the tail end of Christian's 16. This sixth-place battle between Toby Robertson and Stacy Puryear is hotting up a little bit as Robertson edged on by.
Pretty good run for Chuck Bound. As I said earlier, has got a string of top 10 finishes here at Grand National competition in years past here at Hickory. Won an event here at Hickory, but their second event here in 2001, and didn't have quite the showing they wanted down at St. Augustine for the second outing for the Southern Series, but tonight really getting the job done. But Stacy Puryear also getting the job done along with Toby Robertson. Robertson's had a great year, particularly in the last 3 or 4 races.
Yes, indeed. And coming on board with the Johnsonville Hot and Spicy sponsorship didn't hurt, and he has been carrying their colors very well. Joe Harrison Jr. in the 57, caught in the revolving door as Keith Woody goes around him. Lee Tissett with a slightly damaged front end on the 55 car. And Keith Woody in his Cycle Sorcery, number 83.
One of his infrequent starts here in 2001.
On board with Del Murphy, looking at Shane Sieg and John Kendra behind him. We'll be right back.
Don't go away. There's more Hooters Pro Cup racing right after this.
Some of the crew of Bill Plemons, that's Dale Burns on the right, his crew chief. They're looking on and charting the progress of their driver behind the wheel of the Hooters number 15 race car. Involved in a little spin earlier in the race, recovering nicely from that, however, as we watch the activity centered around Bobby Gill and Stephen Christian. There's Gill in the Triple Diamond Enterprises black number 5, the sheriff of the posse of Hooters Pro Cup drivers here, the 2-time champion. He's got a lot of company out there. Mike Laughlin Jr. in the number 7 car beginning to make some forward progress in a pretty serious way. The Carolina Kit Car number 7 entry started 23rd and has made its way forward to race along with Bobby Gill, who started 14th. So there's the bright yellow number 7 and the ominous black number 5.
And Chuck Bound's got a strong car, and our leader, Mario Goslin, dealing with lap traffic. Daniel Johnson right now, the car he's trying to work the way around. He's got the Mark Setzer 99 nestled down to the bottom side, but Johnson trying to battle. Here comes Sarvis to the inside. Pretty good race for the lead with lap traffic right in the way, Brian.
Oh, yeah, Jason Sarvis actually nosing ahead of Mario Goslin. Then he gets balked up as Goslin. I'm going to have to call that. Sarvis led a lap. Now, I'm not sure what the officials will say, but he was about a half a foot in front of Goslin as they crossed the line that time. And Jason Sarvis is now pretty definitely in the lead, so we're going to credit him with at least 1 lap and now give him 2. And our first lead change of the Naturally Fresh Dressings 250 has just occurred right before your very eyes.
Trouble.
A caution out of the
Christian.
racetrack, and it's, Christian in the 16. A cloud of dust, a puff of smoke, and a hearty hi-yo silver. Around he goes.
And he's going a lap down. The leader got by.
Yep, there he is. There is 1 lap down for Stephen Christian. And that is going to be a tough break for one of the top contenders in the series and one of the men who is always favored to be a contender at the end of the race. He's going to have some hard work to do to make up for this early race spin.
Don't really see any damage to the left side of the race car. It doesn't appear that anybody got into it very hard. Let's see what we can see here.
Just a little bit of checking up, and a little contact with Gill. Christian backed out, let Bobby Gill recover, but then he ended up going around. Didn't hit anything. That's the good news. Once again, let's listen in to what happened.
You got Bobby coming with him. Bobby's there outside.
We can't run this thing on the bottom no more.
And the 30 car coming with him. Outside. Right, you got him outside, outside. 7 car behind you. Hold it down. You can turn it, you can go. Turn it up, turn it up.
Boy, it's so instinctive. The good race car drivers, as soon as they feel the back end start to go around, they stand on the gas and keep anything worse from happening. So around the pit stops now as John Curley brings his 44 to the attention of the Catawba Valley crew. Mark Allen's there.
Our outside pole sitter is among the first leaders to come to pit road on lap 80. The car was getting loose. They decided rather than waiting till later to come in now and make the necessary adjustments.
So while the crew from the community college goes to work on the 1-800 America's Most Wanted 1-800 Crime TV entry, there you can see pictures on the hood doing a nice service for one of the most popular shows in television. Stephen Christian takes his Lucas Oil number 16 likewise to the attention of his crew. So some early pit stop action here. And it's interesting that Mark said the car was getting looser. Well, we knew, he knows, Bobby Gill knows, everybody knows that's what's going to happen. Apparently they kind of under-guessed setting the car up good enough to qualify well, but too loose to run well for long. So now they're going to make that adjustment here before halfway. Mario Gosselin and your new leader, Jason Sarvis. And a little bit of activity around the concession stands with this break in the action. I think a lot of fans stay in their seats to watch pit stops. And now they're going to be on their feet when we go back to the green flag. Birthplace of the stars, Hickory Motor Speedway, one of the most popular racetracks anywhere in the country.
And celebrating 50 years of racing right here at Hickory.
On lap number 83, back to the green flag with Jason Sarvis in the lead. Here's your Naturally Fresh Mountain Spring Water leaderboard, looking at our top 10. There's Mike Laughlin, who has made his way up from 23rd to 8th, and Martin Nesbitt, who started 12th, went to the rear, almost 30th position in his number 30 car, and has now come back into the top 10. So a very fast race car and made some adjustments, and he's running well again.
Had a chance to talk to Mark earlier today. Exactly what is it that turned your program around? You've had some great runs here, particularly of late. He said it's testing. Before, we didn't have a chance to go test, get any seat time. This year, we're able to go and check out these tracks. Gosselin's going to look to the inside of Sarvis.
Well, he knows that leading laps and coming up on halfway is going to be worth some money. He must have seen a little bit of a weakness in Jason Sarvis. He not that he let him go by, but Sarvis got by. And now Mario Gosselin says, hey, wait a minute, I can lead this race, and he's trying to recapture the front position. But Sarvis seems to have the edge again.
Add to it that Hal Goodson is sitting back there in third, and he is staying right with those leaders. Scott Hall, rather, in the 45 car, 54 car. Two team cars, all they did was swap the numbers front to rear, and does get a little confusing, but Hall's having a pretty good run as well. Here's Fogelman trying to work up to the inside of Robertson and gain a few more points that he lost during the most recent race at New River Valley.
Jay Fogelman with a bad luck run there in the southwest corner of Virginia. New River Valley, very picturesque raceway. Here we go to Hickory, which is definitely a landmark on the racing map. And you're on board with Stephen Christian, who had that spin, no damage, has made his pit stop, so he's back out on the racetrack trying to make up positions.
Hi, I'm Alicia, and welcome back to historic Hickory Motor Speedway on Speed Vision.
Thank you very much. And we are indeed at historic Hickory Motor Speedway, looking at Scott Hall in the 54 car. Bobby Gill definitely coming into the picture now. Stephen Christian, having lost a lap, working his way forward in the field, but once he gets there, he's going to have to hope for a well-timed caution and try to get his lap back. Jay Fogelman in the number 8. That 2-minute warning Cooper Family Ford. Fogelman, one of the top points contenders for the season, actually led the points for a while, slipped back into 4th position now at points. And Bobby Gill still driving very nicely down on the low line, set his car up for the long run and the long evening. As the 92 now, Jason Sarvis has actually opened up probably his biggest lead of the race over Mario Gosselin. You can see the 3 or 4 car lengths separate first from 2nd position.
Got to wonder if Mario right now is not experiencing some of the same problems that befell John Curley, where the car is starting to loosen up a little bit. So maybe he's just looking to ride and wait for that opportunity to get down pit road and make a stop, but I'm going to watch this stop because I talked with both Bobby Gill and Mario Goslin together, and I don't know if it was a little bit of liar's poker going on down there, but Goslin laid out what his tire strategy might be. He may be trying to snooker Bobby Gill, but right now a pretty good battle with Jay Fogelman.
Gill and Fogelman, door to door, still haven't touched, and even if they do, you know that they're going to respect one another's driving ability. Bobby Gill makes a clean pass, clean but hard fought, as our Goodyear full field rundown has rookie Jason Sarvis in the lead and rookie Toby Robertson rounding out the top 10. Veteran drivers all in between them. Tissot, Huffman, Curley, Puryear, and Keith Woody running in 15th position right now. Mike Laughlin Jr.'s number 7 pretty firmly up there among the top runners. Bill Clemens Jr. has recovered into 16th position. Don Satterfield running nicely. Leader Jason Sarvis getting himself into some serious traffic. Here he comes up on the outside of Salmons and inside of Satterfield, 3 wide. Oh, and we got a problem just in front of the leaders. Keith Woody takes the Cycle Sorcery number 83 around on the racetrack, and we're going to go under caution. He's got the car moving again, not sure what happened, but we are thinking that he has gone a lap down, and that seems to be the case.
Brian, the spotters are doing a pretty good job tonight. Nobody getting into Woody that time, and nor for that matter Joe Harrison or Bill Clemens.
And wow. he might have had a little bit of help back there from the number 99. Some incidental contact. Mark Setzer certainly was in the neighborhood when Keith Woody went around. Woody checked up, Setzer did not, and there may have been some contact. Couldn't really tell from that, but in any case, Keith Woody went around, and now a lot of drivers are taking the opportunity to head down pit road. And among them, of course, Bill Clemens Jr. in the number 15 Hooters car heading for his pit stall, and the attention of Dale Burns and the rest of the crew. Mark Allen once again, Johnny on the spot.
Bill Clemens Jr. will come in ahead of Scott Hall. Clemens, you'll recall, had to go to the rear of the field after that spin, but he's worked his way back up to midfield. Scott Hall in only his 3rd start used 100 laps of practice at this track earlier this week to begin to get a handle on it. Got some help from teammate Hal Goodson in the Taylor Motorsports number 45 entry. Hall was complaining about his car being too tight. They've made both an air pressure and a wedge adjustment.
So the 54 crew continues to work on the race car, and of course we know that Scott Hall's brother is the crew chief, and we documented that story in one of the previous starts for them, and the crew, well, still discussing their part in the activity here, and that is Scott Hall's brother talking to him on the radio. Now we come to Jimmy McLean in the Advanced Construction Chevrolet. Number 3 car that had some bad luck last time out too. And the Cycle Sorcery 83 crew working on Keith Woody's car after his problem. They're going under the hood. And we're going to take a break as the audience looks on here, approving of the pit stop activity, it seems. Under a fully set sun here now at Hickory, North Carolina's Hickory Motor Speedway. A lot of youngsters in the audience and moms and dads telling them the ins and outs. Hello to Hooters from the Barflies. All right. All right, guys. I'm sure we'll be seeing you a little bit later on. At the
I think those guys were at Winchester last week. In fact, I know they were. They were the crowd at the top of the grandstands having a good time.
Yeah, well, you know, we have a lot of Hooters fans that follow the series from one race to the other in the Southern Division here, and some of them even make their way up north. And, of course, as we said, we'll be seeing some of them at the brand new Hooters of Hickory a little bit later on this evening, we certainly hope. There's the number 84, Shane Huffman, who's been awful quiet and virtually invisible to us anyway on the television coverage so far.
This is Huffman's home track, and he's had yet to finish a race in the Pro Cup Series here. He's looking for an opportunity to at least bring it home. He'd like to bring it home a winner, but he'd like just to finish tonight if at all possible.
Our USAR field summary. Top 10, John Curley still running 10th after starting from the outside of the front row. Remember, he pitted a while ago.
Changing the lead, Goslin is going to follow Steve Christian, who got his lap back around Sarvis.
He's been working very well towards that goal and has now achieved it anyway. Again, a well-timed caution will put Christian at the tail end of the lead lap rather than just in front of leader Mario Goslin. Whoa, Bobby Gill and Hal Goodson.
Goodson all over the place.
Oh, yeah, those guys will have fun, though. These are two, again, along with Jay Fogelman, who's just behind them. three very veteran drivers that respect one another tremendously. Throw Mike Laughlin Jr. into the mix and you're going to have some good, hard racing. But nobody's going to do anything crazy to jeopardize the chances of winning at the end of this one. They know we're a long way from there. We're short of halfway even at this point.
So far tonight, just the run that Mike Laughlin's had has been his career best, year best. He's just not been able to do anything all year long, and right now it looks like they've caught fire on that 7 car and really turned the wrenches the right way, and it's running very strong. Goodson, though, is going to have to probably give up the spot to Bobby Gill, who's got that preferred line this time off of turn 4. Look at Goodson battle back.
And Gill will take the position, but Hal Goodson is not done yet. You know that. He's no doubt set his car up for the long run, so we will see a lot more of those two before this race is over. And getting back to Mike Laughlin Jr., it's pretty easy to remember his best finish, 7th. He's had a pair of them in the number 7 car early in the season, and since then, things have not really gone all that well for Mike Laughlin Jr. He's had some pretty serious DNFs and has been out of the top 10, aside from a 9th place finish in the season opener and a pair of 7ths at St. Augustine and at Coastal Plains.
Looks like John Curley, after a stop for some fresh Goodyear Eagles, is making his way back inside the top 10, battling with Lee Tissett, the winner of this race 1 year ago. They've got a pretty good battle going off into turn 3.
Now, Chris, our producer, heard us talking about Shane Huffman, and he's decided to put the 84 car firmly in the middle of the screen so we don't say he's invisible anymore. There he is, just disappearing out of view. Shane Huffman in the Johnsonville Bratwurst number 84 has had a very good season with 3 wins, a multiple winner after not having any victories at all in his Pro Cup career prior to 2001. But we're watching Martin Nesbitt and Curley, as you mentioned, doing a pretty good job of heading towards the front once again with fresh tires. We know he's got a fast car. We have said several times now that he knows his way around Hickory, and he's proving it once again. Coming up and rubbing a little bit on Nesbitt. Now he's looking to the inside of Fogelman in the number 8, 2-minute warning. White number 8. And yep, Curley's alongside. He's going to make this. He's going to make a couple of passes here in just 2 or 3 laps and make it look pretty easy.
The word right now from the pit area is Nesbitt's car may have lost the rear brakes completely when they pinched that line off. Apparently they didn't get it sealed up, so he's running with front brakes only. So that's a pretty good run for Nesbitt, still in the top 10 with a car that's really crippled to get around this racetrack.
Well, the left rear brake is going to be one of the least useful on an oval track, that's for sure. Along with the left front, which is in the air through most of the corners, or almost in the air, very light. The left rear has not got a lot of weight on it, so it's really the right front and right rear that are getting the job done.
Guys, you remember at the top of the show how we talked about the fast way around Hickory in turns 1 and 2 is at the yellow line at the apex of the corners or just past it. You notice that the leading cars are now starting to move up the track a little bit as their tires are wearing. However, the cars that have come onto pit road for their rubber are down on that yellow line.
Mario Gosselin has not yet pitted, and he's running a half groove up, and he takes our halfway leader prize from Lucas Oil Products, so that's a cool $1,000 in the pocket of Super Mario, who's looking pretty super out here tonight in the Carter Grandel number 10. Again, Bobby Gill equaled his career victory total of 16. And previously, Mario Gosselin was way out in front of career victories in Hooters Pro Cup competition, all alone in first place. Now he has Bobby Gill for company. There's Mike Laughlin Jr. on the low line. Underneath, Hal Goodson's number 45, Shane Huffman in the 84, and Curley using the apron, he can drive that car anywhere with fresh tires, it seems, and Mark Allen had a very good point. So a lot of racing still to come as we move into the second half here of our Naturally Fresh Dressings 250. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Megan from Hooters of Gastonia. Welcome back to the Hooters Pro Cup Series on Speed Vision.
Mike Laughlin Jr. moving on up for more on the driver of the 7 car. Let's go to Mark Allen again.
Mike Laughlin is showing us what he can do when he feels good. You recall he had gallstone surgery a little over a month ago. It took him a couple of weeks to bounce back from that, and he never really got a chance to race very long at Radford before a mechanical failure. He said, if I realized that the gallstone issue was making me feel bad, I'd have had this done a long time ago. I haven't felt right for years. Now I do.
Mike Laughlin Jr., always a big happy guy, but he does seem to be a little bit happier these days as Bill Clemens Jr. and Del Murphy battle for position. 15th, the 15 car. It's always nice when they do that. Give us a little something that makes it easy to remember. Mario Gosselin, your race leader and halfway award winner, leading Jason Sarvis again as they go around the number 39 of Danny Salmons of Fred's Trailer Repair. Hallmark Trailers Ford not having the best night, going a lap down to the leaders as Bobby Gill has found some wide open racetrack. He likes it that way. And Hal Goodson is trailering around behind him. Word on Salmons, he may have a broken rear shock, and that is certainly going to cause a problem and would explain why he's not having the best of evenings. Meanwhile, no problems for Mario Gosselin. Super Mario has been so-so for most of the season thus far. Does a great job in qualifying, but this is the best he's run consistently for a while. Again, was our halfway leader. So that gives us an opportunity to bring you up to speed if you're just joining us with our Lucas Oil Products halfway recap. It all began with the green flag waving in the hands of the manager, Chris Brockman of Hickory Hooters Restaurant. And on lap number 1, we saw a side-by-side duel between the two men who started on the front row. And then on lap 77, Jason Sarvis made a little bit of a slam dunk pass on Mario Gosselin to take the lead. Took him a while to do it, but once he did, he skated along out in front for a while. Mario challenged him, but only 2 laps after the lead change, Stephen Christian. Around he goes where he stops. Well, he stopped without hitting the wall. And just less than 45 laps later, he got his lap back from Jason Sarvis about the same time Mario Gosselin took the lead back from Sarvis. And that is our Lucas Oil Products halfway recap, bringing you up to where we are right now as we watch Toby Robertson and Del Murphy and Lee Tissett in the number 55 car. Let's throw Stacy Puryear and the 11 Naturally Fresh in for good measure. And we've got a heck of a race going on here just behind Bill Clemens as we look at our USAR field summary. At about 140 laps now, you can see that this is a race outside the top 10. Jay Fogelman finishes the first 10 cars in our rundown. From on board with Del Murphy, little nudge from Stacy Puryear, the bump and run.
John Kinder had to cut to the inside to keep from running over the 55 of Tissett as well, so it really jammed everybody up there off the corner.
John Kinder in the 08 Multimedia Graphics and Production Chevrolet. Black car this year. We had seen him run a white paint job on that car. Then he painted it black. Then he painted the numbers bright yellow. And so we're still getting used to the new look there. His best finish of the season, 5th at Montgomery. And on board with Stephen Christian. We'll take you to commercial break.
The USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series is being brought to you by Hooters Restaurants. Hooters, delightfully tacky, yet unrefined. And by Naturally Fresh Dressings. It's not just our name, it's our promise. And by Fairfield Inn, a Marriott property.
Mario Gosselin in the Carter Grandel number 10, still out in front. Eastern Metals, Florida Nonwoven, lots of sponsors that he has added to his program this year and has gotten himself back into shape. Racing wise, again, he's always qualified well. This is the best run he's had on the racetrack for the better part of a race so far this season. John Kinder working on the inside, and John Curley continues to advance positions. When you pass Bobby Gill on the racetrack, you can take that to the bank that your car's good.
It's not done yet, though.
Oh, that was fun.
Ran up on Harrison.
That was a good job. And John Curley used it to his advantage to open up a big gap. Mario Gosselin still running down low on old tires, so his car was set up very well, not only for qualifying, but for the race. So the Carter Grandel guys, Steve Griffin and the crew have done a pretty good job setting up that 10 car for not only qualifying, but long runs too. Bobby Gill on the outside of the 61 of Chuck Bound, crewschool.com, bright blue, number 61. Side by side for a while in 4th position. Gill working the long way around the racetrack, and it's not working out all that well as Bound edges across the line ahead of him one more time. Behind them both, it's Hal Goodson having a look, trying to figure out if something, if they're telling him something about their race cars and the racetrack at this point. Again, Goodson, another one of those who has not stopped. Goodyear full field rundown. Now you'll know where everybody's running. 4th and 5th's the battle you're watching, with Goodson in 6th just behind. Mike Laughlin Jr. from 23rd to 7th continues to make forward progress. Del Murphy, we watched the onboard look from him, back in 15th position. Jimmy McLean in 16th, pretty good run. Lee Tissett, again with an early problem. And there you can see rookie R.D. Smith in the Hot Rod Magazine, number 179. He stopped very early in the race. And mechanical problems have taken out Chris Gordon and Shane Wallace, the 2 earliest retirees from competition. Chris Gordon in his Paxton Stewart Land Company Ford was actually the very first car out of the race. Yeah, saw the hood flopped up over on the windshield there.
They had a problem with their primary car, borrowed a car from the Sarvis camp and started the event, but had to retire very early on with that car, so they've had a tough time here tonight.
Give Mike Laughlin Jr. one more spot as he continues to march towards the front in the number 7 Carolina kit car entry.
Went around the outside of Don Satterfield, one of those brand new Laughlin cars. Introducing that car here today at Hickory. He's got another car on order from what I hear, or at least he was joking.
We got a problem. Caution is out on the racetrack, and it involves debris on the surface. That's the bumper cover. Oh, and it's not going to end there. Shane Huffman and Scott Hall trying to avoid everybody checking up for that, what looked like a huge piece of debris laying in the racetrack. Of course, it would not really have caused all that much of a problem, but now, especially Scott Hall, well, I'm not going to say that because Huffman's car is damaged very heavily too on the left front. Tough break for these 2 drivers, just trying to stay out of trouble. They got into some. Boom.
That's a pretty hard shot with that left front. Of course, the right side didn't get treated very nicely either, but Scott Hall's car showing a lot of damage on the front end as well.
There's pieces, parts from Kinder's automobile. He was caught up in a little bit of a shunt with Lee Tissett in the 55. So the cleanup has gotten underway, and it's going to take a while as the rest of the field circles the track. Wreckers are moving into position to take away the 54 and 84 cars of Scott Hall and Shane Huffman, the Taylor Motorsports and Johnsonville Bratwurst entries respectively. Listen in as the leader heads down pit road.
Oh, you need to take your time on this pit stop. Don't miss any lug nuts. Hit them one time. Slow, buddy, slow. Same thing for you, Stevie. Stand forward, buddy. I've been practicing in the air.
So Mario cautioning his crewmen to take it slow, go slow to go fast. And they go to work. Steve Griffin and the crew working on the Carter Grandel number 10. Let's see how well their practice pays off for them. The gas man and the catch can guy back there kicking the air hoses out of the way. Tire carriers and the men on the air guns going to work. No lost motion there. The car is down, and Mario's away with a very nice pit stop. Chuck Bound and Bill Plemons stopped earlier, so for only 2 tires, they got out pretty quickly. Mark Allen has caught up with Scott Hall while all that was going on. Let's go to Mark.
Scott, you had a terrific run going here tonight. You're going to go home on the hook. What happened?
The Taylor Motorsports Carlin Financial Chevrolet was running great. We had a good car. I think we had a good car for in the race. At least a good top 5 car, I believe. It was just a misfortune. Some debris caution come out on the track. I slowed up, and me and Huffman got together. It's just one of those racing deals, you know. It's a tight little track, but it's fun to race.
All right, Scott Hall, and pretty happy fan there, has got himself a very nice Hooters Girls poster. Yeah, roll that one up and save it. You know what, we've got a lot of racing still going on out here. It's too bad that Scott Hall and Shane Huffman are not going to be a part of it. A tough break, and well, Scott, I guess, said it right. Tight little track, tough to stay out of trouble. There's Lee Tissett, who was somewhat involved with John Kinder and the debris on the racetrack. A lot of these fans are on their feet right now because John Curley, who is something of a local hero, is the man out in front. So John Curley leads it. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Hickory Motor Speedway. The Hooters girls still working the crowd, signing posters for some of the fans here as We are under a red flag, yellow flag situation. They had to bring a red flag out briefly while a flatbed truck was blocking the racetrack in order to tow Scott Hall's car out from underneath that of Shane Huffman. They were wedged together pretty tight there. So we will be back into a race-ready situation shortly as the cars are heading behind the wall. There goes the Johnsonville car and the pit bull. The guys are taking the toolbox back there to see if they can salvage something of the evening for Shane Huffman.
Well, they're 5th in points. They've got to do something to try to keep those points and have an advantage going into the final 5.
The Scott Hall crew's got a much taller order, and there the yellow flag is out now, so the cars will resume circling the racetrack until they're ready to go back to green. Spotters taking a break up there at the top of the grandstand, and they'll be back in action here shortly from their vantage point high above the racing surface. And the cars are now circling the track. Don Satterfield ducking down pit road. John Curley is your new leader, or is your leader, having stayed out while many of the former leaders pitted. And now Del Murphy's having a little bit of a problem. The USAR officials are waving the rest of the cars around him. Apparently he needs a bump start. They're moving a crash truck into position to give him a nudge. And here it comes.
That's not the view we intended out of this camera.
No, but it is always funny when you have these onboard cameras that even after crashes continue to function, and sometimes you see a car bouncing on the wrecker hook with the camera still rolling. It's kind of funny. The car takes a fatal hit and the camera keeps on rolling. So they went under the hood briefly of Don Satterfield's brand new Laughlin Hawksaw Blades #1. And there is the Shane Huffman crew, assessing the damage and hopeful of getting it repaired at least enough to get him back out on the racetrack.
They're those Sprouse girls.
Yeah, and these are the scorers that have what they call, well, there are scorers up in the tower, the USAR officials. Then they have what they call the flop clock scorers, which are those folks there. They have, that's not just the number of their, well, it is the number of their favorite car,
right.
But it has a function. One of these days we have to kind of go into some more detail and show you, because it's not only useful, it's fun and interesting too, what those people do. Rusty Cruz waving the green flag on lap 165. So we are 85 laps from finishing in our Naturally Fresh Dressings 250. Take a look at the field summary. 3 rookies in the top 5. Another one, Shane Sieg, running in 6th position. Sieg in the S&W Motorsports Ford. Those are the top 10 drivers as we go back to the green flag here behind John Curley, who's had a very good car all night. He had a sort of good car for a while and slipped back through the field, but pitted early, and since then he has been moving forward to the point now where he's the new leader.
Shot of Curtis Davis, the 00 brand new sponsor on that car. A sponsor's name that's been in motorsports for many, many years, Broadway Motor Company, who for many, many years were on the side of the Winston Cup car of Jimmy Means. And talking to Curtis earlier, they said, they got together, started talking, and said, hey, we've watched you for a while. We want to put our name on the side of your race car. And in a matter of 10 minutes, he had a sponsor on the side of the 00.
Well, they added it to Document Technologies that Curtis has been carrying. We've mentioned a very talented young driver, hardly a harder working young driver. He spends all week in the race shop virtually alone and then comes out and wheels the car on the weekends. Curtis Davis in the 00 car, working for position there with Stacy Puryear's Naturally Fresh Dressings automobile. Mark Allen with the crew chief of former leader Mario Gosselin. He's downstairs. Steve Griffin standing by.
Steve Griffin, Mario Gosselin working his way back through the field. Did that caution come about where you wanted it to?
Yeah, that caution couldn't have come at a better time, man. The car is just, it's working great for us tonight. We made a little stagger adjustment. The Carter Grandel Ford is just running tonight. This is the best car it's run all year long. Mario is very pleased with the car, very pleased with the crew. We've had an awesome night, and this could be ours. We're just crossing our fingers and hope we can be there at the end.
They're trying to get their first win of the year and their first win ever at Hickory.
Well, back earlier this afternoon, Mario told me, and here comes Shane Huffman back out. Looks like they've got repairs in order. Mario told me they may come down pit road, only take right side tires, then come back in and take rears to try to put 2 new right rear tires on that car during the course of the race. That was not the case. They took 4 tires in that single spot, single stop they made on pit road. So looked like a little liar's poker was going on down there when that conversation was held with Mario and Bobby Gill.
Rush hour traffic on a 3/8 mile freeway right now as the cars are all stacked up here.
Sparks back there.
Yeah, just off the green flag. Mike Laughlin Jr. in the number 7 car and sort of in the center of the action. Jimmy McLean in the 3 doing a good job in the Advanced Construction Technologies Team Chevrolet. There he is running alongside former leader Mario Gosselin. Bill Clemens Jr. just behind Gosselin, and Del Murphy on the outside line there behind McLean. Bobby Gill tucked down nice and low after coming in for his pit stop and taking on 4 tires. There's Curtis Davis, who has passed for the lead, and John Curley slipping back into number 2 as we go on board with Stephen Christian in the 16. Remember, he got his lap back, and there are the sparks flying in front of him. Somebody's got a sway bar or something dragging the racetrack there just in front of Stephen Christian. And once again, Stephen Christian will take us to commercial break. Your leader's John Curley in the 44 car. He has allowed, or Curtis Davis has gotten his lap back, so Davis is in front of Curley on the racetrack, but on the tail end of the lead lap. And those two very evenly matched right now. If John Curley let him by, he's not going to let him hold him up, because he wants to get away from the rest of the field that's chasing him awful hard right now. Hal Goodson, Jason Sarvis, and there is the damaged race car of Shane Huffman. And man, that Johnsonville crew did a good job of getting that car back together and not looking too badly. The Naturally Fresh Mountain Spring Water leaderboard, Curley your leader, Puryear 2nd, Bobby Gill 6th, and Goodson. Those are 2 of your top contenders for points. Jason Sarvis, Mike Laughlin also running in the top 10. Bill Clemens Jr. with some damage to the right side of his race car somewhat in evidence, and Bobby Gill, his car virtually untouched. A little bit of a dink there in the very right front, but he'll take that and keep on going. Al Goodson on the outside of Sarvis. And a lot of side-by-side racing as a second groove is very definitely developed here at Hickory now, later in the running.
The second pack's got a pretty good battle going, but right now Curley got it on cruise control. This could be his first ever win in the Pro Cup Series if he can put it all together and take it on home tonight. Like Toby Roberts in his car using the outside line a little bit more often than he might like, and that's allowing some of the cars to get by him, dropping him further back in the running in the top 10 here.
One of the safety team trucks parked down on the infield, and this week's tech tip involves fire safety.
Guys, there is one universal truth in auto racing. The one thing that every driver fears is fire. Ron Thames is the inventor of FireAid 2000. Ron, how does this product work?
FireAid 2000 is a water-based product, and it enables water to work 6 times more effectively. And by stretching the water, makes it more heat absorbing. It absorbs the heat so rapidly, and being environmentally friendly, the response time from the emergency crew to the driver is the key issue. If we can get that driver safely and extinguish a fire, that the material will not hurt the driver as well.
Craig Clark, you carry this on the fire trucks. Tell us about it from a firefighter's point of view.
We use it. It's one of the tremendous products that is out there on the market today. We use it both pre-mixed in our main tanks on our system, as well as in 2.5 gallon fire extinguishers, such as this one, which is for smaller fires. We've put out quite a good sized fire with this, such as an engine fire under the hood of the car.
So you can bet that to a man, every driver in the USAR is happy that this product is here.
Back to racing action, and mostly fireworks on the racetrack, as late in the going here, everybody's scrambling for the best position possible. Those that have been waiting to make a move are doing so. And Mario Gosselin has worked his way back up into second position behind leader John Curley, who is still tussling with the, well, not lapped car, but the tail end of the lead lap car of Curtis Davis. Number 00. Curley gives him a little bit of nudge. And that lets Gosselin get right up alongside, inside, and not quite into the lead yet. So Curtis Davis, once he got his lap back, actually was kind of slowing down the progress of the leader, and now he has facilitated a pass for the lead by Mario Gosselin. Curley dropping back a little bit into the clutches now of Bill Plemons Jr. as well.
Plemons is on a roll, so is Stacy Purrier. Everyone's starting to move towards the front. They know it's getting down to the time to make those moves and make a run for the checkers here.
John Curley, by leading that race and putting himself in position to possibly win this thing, and he still is, he already bettered his season best qualifying effort by starting on the outside of the front row. Prior to that, his best qualifying had been 4th. His best finish came at Ace Speedway earlier in the season, which was 11th. So he is doing substantially better than that, although he's losing another spot here, it appears, on the track to Plemons.
Got off the corner a little bit wide there in turn 4. That opened the door. Bill Plemons Jr. said thank you very much. Drove the car to the inside. Looks like, at least right now, he's got the advantage to try to take that second spot.
Curtis Davis now in the 00 Broadway Motor Company car is indeed a lapped car once again. As Danny Salmons in the Fred's Trailer Repair number 39 also not on the lead lap, working down inside. And we'll take another pause for the cause. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Hickory with Mario Gosselin out in front once again. This is how the race started. And for Mario, he would sure hope this is how the race is going to end, as he has stretched a lead over the chasing cars, most notably John Curley, Bill Plemons Jr., Jason Sarvis, and Mike Laughlin Jr., the rest of the top 5. 55 laps remain in the Naturally Fresh Dressings 250. And there are the chasing cars. No Mario Gosselin in sight. He has slipped away into the distance. So they're trying to keep up. If you want to keep up with Hooters racing, go to USARProCup.com. We invite your questions, your comments, your criticism, and your praise. Praise is good. We like praise. But if you just can't bring yourself to do that, we'd sure like to hear from you anyway. So send us an email, USARProCup.com, and we'll do our very, very best to address your concerns or just bask in the glow. Curtis Davis in the front. Scott Hall's car has returned to the racetrack, although it's limping around much more noticeably than that of Shane Huffman.
While all that went on, Bill Plemons able to get by John Curley. Curley's relegated up to the high side of the racetrack. Doesn't seem to be, well, now he's right there working the rear bumper of Laughlin, but looks like that car does not want to stick to the bottom quite as well. He's up at least half a car width every time through the corners.
They're all coming up on the 56 of Daniel Johnson, the Happy Hunting Ground Whitetail Research Center Chevrolet. Plemons has cleared Johnson. Johnson's down on the inside, and between Curtis Davis and Daniel Johnson, there's a pretty significant barrier to forward progress by this bunch here, because those guys are still running pretty well as we look at our Goodyear full field rundown. Fogelman 11th, Stephen Christian 15th. There's Curtis Davis in the 00, as we mentioned, has lost a lap, so there are some 16 or 17 cars on the lead lap, and Curtis Davis is not. Bill Plemons Jr. and some of the Galaxy Racing supporters there of Mark Setzer's effort here tonight. Setzer, the only, along with Bill Plemons Jr., 2 Northern Series drivers that have dipped down south for another look at one of the racetracks that the Southern guys will be using.
Stephen Christian going a lap down to Mario Gosselin there. Looks like Christian's car just not performing up to speed after a couple of pit stops trying to get it straightened out. Just not able to get the handle tonight here at Hickory.
So that would make 14 cars remaining on the lead lap as Christian was running in 15th position. And there's what it looks like from above the racetrack. Let's go downstairs. Mark Allen with Dale Burns from Bill Plemons' crew.
Dale, a couple of races ago, Shane Huffman spun and won. Your driver's already got the spunning part done. The question is, can he get to the front with as strong as Mario Gosselin is?
Well, I tell you what, Mario's his old boss man. Hey, I tell you what, he wants to outrun him bad. We got a good car tonight, this Hooters Ford. These low lug nuts got us out of the pits good tonight. Hey, we're just gonna ride it out and see what happens.
Somewhat non-committal there by Dale Burns. We're going to ride it out and see what happens, talking about the relationship between Mario Gosselin and Bill Plemons Jr. From the past. Of course, a lot of these guys are all go back a ways, in one way or another. have to take another look at Bobby Gill because it is getting late in the race, a point at which Bobby Gill begins to very definitely make his presence known. On occasion, we've seen him do it a bit earlier, but in the last 50 laps of the race is typically when the number 5 starts heading for the front.
Well, he's got company on that rear bumper from Hal Goodson, and those two have quite a storied history. Not only, hang on, Stacy Purrier. Well, that's going to break up the game for Gill and Goodson for a few moments.
Yeah, that got a little bit of distance in between them. Hal Goodson working on Stacy Purrier's naturally fresh number 11 car, and not really having an easy time getting around. He's got the 99 of Setzer down inside, and he's going to have to split them. Whoa! We got a problem, and it's Sarvis spinning on the racetrack, and that wasn't all the problem that we
Nesbitt.
had. Oh, yeah. Martin Nesbitt hit the wall hard, and Jason Sarvis gets going again, no problem, but there is a far larger issue as, well, now both front wheels are facing more or less in the same direction, but we've got some pretty serious camber on the right front that was not designed to be used quite that way. So Martin Nesbitt's night could have come to an early end here, and the crowd is on their feet. We've got some finger pointing by the fans going on up there. Not sure exactly how they feel about it, but you know that there is disappointment aplenty in the cockpit of the Blue Cross Blue Shield number 30 of Nesbitt.
Well, they were able to salvage a run at least 210 laps of tonight's race without those rear brakes, and got a feeling that was part of what the problem was, getting him into the wall without those brakes. Very easy to get turned around. You can see the suspension, looks like the upper control arm torn away, and I'm sure he's knocked that frame rail over a little bit. That'll mean a clip job on this number 34, Martin Nesbitt.
Yep, the exhaust pipe laying flat on the racetrack. Howdy, folks. Enjoying a nice evening here at Hickory Motor Speedway, and well, one young fan is just, the excitement is just too much for. Upcoming races, we have 3 in the north, 2 in the south that will conclude the regular season part of our 2001 Hooters Pro Cup campaign, and then we move on to those final 5 races, the championship series, the 4 Champions Challenge series that will decide our season overall champion. And Martin Nesbitt out of the race car. The good news is he's okay. The bad news is he's out of the race. Autograph time, and hats, posters, you name it. The Hooters girls are signing autographs in the stands, and they get a lot of business during these yellow flag situations here. Under caution, a lot of the fans just waiting to see what's going to happen next. We've had a pretty full evening.
Mart, a long night for you right from the get-go with that broken left rear brake caliper. What just happened now that put you out of the race?
Yeah, I think it just broke it off the rear end evidently at the start, and they pinched that line on. We put 100% front brake in it. We had a pretty good race car. We were going to finish in the top 10 or better if we didn't run out of laps, and they had a wreck down there in 3, and Spotter yelled, hit the brakes, and when I hit the brakes, I guess it just blew the fronts out because I didn't have any rear and I didn't have any brakes, and just went straight in the wall. I hate it for Blue Cross Blue Shield in North Carolina and GlaxoSmithKline. We had a big plans tonight, and you know, we ran good. We gave it our best shot, but we'll go to South Boston and get them there. Thank you.
We had an entire grandstand of folks here tonight behind turn 3 to watch the race. They unfortunately got a view they didn't want.
Well, Mom sent food. TV ate it all. What? I didn't get any. It must have been those camera guys. Tim Suthers, our media director and one of the hardest working guys on the USAR crew. Rusty Cruz up there admonishing the field with the green flag, saying if you guys don't behave, I'm going to wave this at you. And that's, of course, what they want to see. Please, Rusty, don't throw us in that briar patch. Don't wave that green flag at us and make us go racing. Here's the field lined up. The lead lap car's up on the outside. Chuck Bound getting a little extra heat in the tires before we go green behind Mario Gosselin. Super Mario is looking that way again. We might have to fit him up for a cape here tonight. As he, gets away quickly. Curley dives down on the inside and then goes up into Laughlin Jr. A little bumper car action here.
It's getting physical, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, as they try to get up to the front because they know Mario's going to stand on the gas. Nobody wants to let him get away. Curley and Laughlin Jr. going around the outside now of Joe Harrison. And look at the freight train lined up behind him. once again, Gosselin has definitely skipped away on the restart. A little bit of damage there to the right front of Mike Laughlin Jr.'s car, but he's still got his foot in the gas. Some of the cars not on the lead lap trying to stay out of the way and doing a good job of it, letting the leaders get away as cleanly as possible. Bobby Gill drops down on the low line, having cleared traffic. Here comes Stacy Puryear too. And let's go down to talk to the news as Bobby Gill heads to the front. Mark Allen once again downstairs.
Deuce, we've only got 30 laps to go, and Bobby is sitting in the 5th spot. What are your chances of actually catching and then passing Mario?
I say right now, chance of winning doesn't look too good. Pick off, try and get another spot or two here. Come home with a top 3 or top 5, and just keep chipping away. This battle's made, or this war is made up of a lot of little battles. So chip away, looking at the big picture here.
All right, Dews is, well, I'm not sure. We might have been able to say it a little bit better, but Dews has hit it right on the head that the war is made up of a lot of battles. If they, meaning Bobby Gill and Dews and the guys, feel like they can't win the race, they're going to, yeah, Setzer is gone around, and on the other end of the racetrack, Bill Plemons Jr. goes around. And for sure, the leaders are going to come up on one of these incidents, and we're going to see a yellow flag as Bill Plemons Jr. heads out onto the racetrack. We'll go under caution here at Hickory. And Mario Gosselin didn't get involved in any of it. All right, folks, let's see if we can have another look. The folks in the stands only get one look, but you at home have a big advantage in being able to revisit what happened out there. Bill Plemons Jr.'s pit, and Dale Burns and the guys ready if he should come in. Here's another look. Around goes Bill all by himself behind Mario Gosselin, and it was on the opposite turn of the track where Setzer in the 99 car went around. Here's a look at Bill Plemons parked on the racetrack. Christian was able to check up behind the 77 of Ashley Huffman, and Jason Sarvis has taken his number 92 down there, and Mark Allen is looking over the situation. Right now, we're going to take another pause for these commercial messages, and we'll come right back.
Hi, I'm Jules. And I'm Reagan. Stay tuned for more of the Naturally Fresh Dressing 250.
Mario Gosselin staying out of trouble. Curtis Davis once again down on the inside. Will be trying to get his lap back on the restart when we go to the green flag one more time here at Hickory Motor Speedway. There's our scoring section, cheering section / scoring section, and these folks are just having way too much fun up there. I'm sorry. The 00, the 5, everybody's got their own personal favorite car, even the 139 of Shane Sieg hiding back there in the background. And another look at that part of the grandstand. So, green flag waiting to wave one more time. The crews pondering their fate in the closing laps. Mike Laughlin Jr. behind Mario Gosselin, and John Curley third, Bobby Gill fourth, and the 11 of Stacy Puryear in the naturally fresh number 11 is fifth. That's the way they will start here in a moment.
Laughlin and Curley had a pretty physical restart the last time. We'll see if they go at it again, this time behind Mario Gosselin with just a few laps left. You don't want to lose any time to the leader.
Laughlin Jr. doing a good job of staying close that time. Let's see if they clear traffic together. They do. Mario Gosselin is around Curtis Davis. Mike Laughlin Jr. likewise. John Curley having to struggle a bit alongside the pretty fast but lapped car of Davis. And we're underway once again in the closing circuits of Hickory Motor Speedway.
The right front fender pushed down enough to where it's creating a few of those sparks you see on the right front, particularly when Laughlin's car dives off into the corner and rolls over onto that right front. Behind him, though, Shane Sieg right in the middle of a battle for third with Bobby Gill running fourth, trying to get around and try to get a shot in. John Curley.
Bill Plemons Jr. goes 3 wide up on the outside of the 39 car of Danny Sammons, who was the meat in the sandwich there. Joe Harrison Jr. down on the inside, the other slice of bread. They're all coming up behind Stephen Christian. And the 99 of Setzer, who didn't bring out the caution technically. It was the 15 of Plemons that did, but both of them had an incident a moment ago. Toby Robertson in the 23, hot and spicy Johnsonville Bratwurst car. And Jimmy McLean up behind Daniel Johnson. Again, these are some of the cars not on the lead lap, but they're down on the low and fast part of the racetrack as Bill Plemons Jr., you know, he's madder than a hornet up there after he went around more or less by himself in a very good position to perhaps win this race. Now he's got some work to try to make up ground.
Lee Tissett down pit road. He was called in, and looks like they're going to look at the right side of that race car.
Our naturally fresh mountain spring water leaderboard here. Mario Gosselin out in front. And Stephen Christian in a whole heap of traffic. One more time. The commercial. We'll be right back. Great racing going on behind leader Mario Gosselin as Hal Goodson has come into contention with Bobby Gill. Neither of these two apparently with a good enough car to win this race tonight, but they're not going to give up trying. As our USAR field summary shows you the top 10, Bill Plemons Jr. just inside that first 10 cars right now. Jay Fogelman and Stacy Puryear have found each other out there on the racetrack. Looking forward to those final 5 races, the last 2 of the Southern Division here, including Lakeland, where many of the Northern drivers are expected to come down and visit, and the Hooters NGA Golf Tour in town that same week. So a lot of activities going on around Lakeland and USA International Raceway and the whole Lakeland area. So that would be one. If you're going to pick a race, that would be the one to give you not only a sneak preview of the final race of the season, but a great fun week of activity starting on Wednesday with the golf tournament, going through Sunday, and Saturday night the race.
Exactly. That's all around Labor Day weekend.
We expect to see a lot of you there with us. Toby Robertson up on the outside. There's another look at Mario Gosselin and the distance back to second place Mike Laughlin Jr. So Super Mario seems to have this one pretty well in hand unless Mike Laughlin Jr. can make a run at him here in the closing laps. John Curley, Bobby Gill, and Hal Goodson still squabbling over third place in the race. Goodson and Gill, of course, very familiar with running in this position, but John Curley looking for his best finish of the year by far. 5 laps remain here at Hickory, and this is the best race on the track. Curtis Davis again, a lapped car, but he's right there with him. Bobby Gill driving up high and taking it down low, keeping these guys guessing just which way he's going to go.
Curley's dropped down to the bottom side, giving Hal Goodson only the outside. Slammed the door shut on him coming off the corner that time. There's your leader, Mario Gosselin. Looks like he may be on his way to his first win in 2001.
Mario Gosselin looking for win number 17 in his career. That'll break the deadlock with Bobby Gill. And it was a season ago when he went all the way into November before winning a race, at which point we breathed a sigh of relief, because a season of Hooters Pro Cup without Mario Gosselin winning is like a day without sunshine. It looks like he's on his way to a win here at Hickory.
You go, boy. I mean the money.
That's a clean sweep.
Steve, you've only been a crew chief for a few races, but you just got yourself to the winner's circle. What are your thoughts right now?
Man, I just want to thank all these pit guys, man. We had one heck of a night tonight. Everybody got along, and Mario drove his butt off tonight, man. I can't say enough for this team, man. The Eastern Polar Guard, you know, the Carter Grandel Ford, man. I'm just
let your crew chief.
I'm ecstatic,
They'll
man.
get the sponsors in too, man. Go enjoy Victory Lane.
Man, I can't believe this. It's just a dream come true, man. You know, on the way up here, we helped these guys out at a gas station, and it was a church group, and we told them to say a prayer for us, man, and that prayer came through. The man up above is watching us, and he helped us tonight, man. We had a dominant car, and it just, I'm so happy. I can't.
You enjoy Victory Lane.
Thank you very much, man. Woo.
Well, in Mario's Quebecois, they might say something like down in Louisiana, laissez le bon temps rouler. Let the good times roll. And Mario's going to do the celebration smoke show for the fans in the stands here, celebrating his first win of 2001 and his first since last November. Super Mario looking very much that way here tonight from pole to victory lane. We'll be back.
Coverage of the USAR Hooters Pro Cup Series has been brought to you by Hooters Restaurants. Hooters, delightfully tacky yet unrefined. And by Naturally Fresh Dressings. It's not just our name, it's our promise. By Jackaroo Sauces. Jackaroo tastes so great they named a steakhouse after us. And by Miller Lite, the great taste of a true Pilsner beer. And by Lucas Oil Products, the official lubricant of USAR and a worldwide leader in heavy-duty and high-performance lubricants.
Mario Gosselin set to climb out of the car. C'est bon, mon ami. Down to Mark Allen.
The 9-month drought is over. Mario Gosselin from pole to victory lane. When you were sitting in the car, you were screaming. You were so happy.
I'll tell you what, Webb Carter put this whole deal together for us. Carter Granite Furniture, Eastern Metals, Polar Guard. You know, I mean, we figured we was going to do this a lot earlier in the season, but we got this Billy Hess chassis figured out. All our sponsors, you know, just everybody works so hard. I mean, down to the local dry cleaners, Unique Cleaners, and Subway Shop in Haines City. Gives us food, keeps us fed on these races, and I'm just tickled to death.
I think Steve got your other sponsors in there before, so I think between the two of you got them all covered. This race looked about as problem-free as it could be. Was it that way for you?
Well, yeah, about as problem-free as it can be. We had a great car. You know, this crew did an awesome job today. Our sponsors been with us all year. We've been getting down on ourselves a little bit, but tonight's our night.
Megan, can you say winner?
Just say woohoo! She's a little shy.
Well, she'll get over that the more Mario gets to victory lane, and you know more of these are coming.
Well, I would say that's a little one that takes a victory lane celebration quite readily. And our results of the Naturally Fresh Dressings 250 presented by Johnsonville Bratwurst. Take a look at the top 10. Jimmy McLean with a 10th place finish here. He likes Hickory a lot and does well when the Hooters Pro Cup visits this racetrack. Jason Sarvis and Del Murphy and Toby Robertson, 3 rookies, doing a nice job there. Curtis Davis, again, not on the lead lap, but finishing in 14th position. Ashley Huffman in his first start comes home 18th. Daniel Johnson with another pretty good run in 19th. And now we begin to get down into the area where drivers like Shane Huffman, Martin Esbit, and even Lee Tissett, who was black flagged late in the race, were part of the attrition in this competition here tonight. Let's go back downstairs to Mark Allen with the runner-up.
6 weeks ago, Mike Laughlin Jr. wasn't feeling so well. Mike, after gallstone surgery and a 2nd place here tonight, how are you doing?
We're doing real good. You know, the surgery, we're over it. But, man, I tell you, we have really been struggling. I can't say enough about all my guys that come here. You know, it's mostly weekend help. I got one full-time guy that works at the shop for me. You know, Carolina Kit Cars, Laughlin Racing, Griffin Radiator. If it weren't for all them guys, we wouldn't be here. I drove my heart out tonight. I mean, I couldn't do anything with Mario, but I want to congratulate him. We come from a long way back. We're tickled with 2nd.
What does this do for your confidence and for that basically volunteer crew with all the trouble you've had this year, and frankly, some last year too?
Well, I tell you, it makes you scratch your head. You know, these guys the competition here is really, USAR has done a super job at the competition level here. I mean, it makes you scratch your head and wonder, you know, what you're doing wrong. But tonight, we still got it. So hopefully it's good things to come.
It makes you wonder about what you're doing wrong, but let's ask the question in reverse. What did you do right tonight?
Well, we just put a good setup under the car. You know, it's really, I can't answer that. I don't know. We just come in, had a good pit stop, and put on 4 tires. We didn't touch the car. We just got it perfect in practice today, and we didn't have to make any changes. And that was a good key today, was getting out of a good quit and pit stop.
I'll bet you can't wait for South Boston.
Yeah, we'll be pumped up going on to South Boston.
South Boston, of course, the next stop on the Southern Division Tour. Bobby Gill leads the points over Hal Goodson, Stephen Christian, Fogelman, and Huffman round out the top 5. And again, this is for kind of a head start, if you will, or seeding, if you will, to go in to the 5 races at the end of the year that will determine our champion. These points are not for the championship per se. Rookie of the race, Jason Sarvis in the number 92 car, the Bryant Heating and Cooling Carolina Energy's Black's Tire Service entry. And let's take a look at rookie points, as there are the top 10 rookies are in the top 25 in points. So the 2001 rookie class, Gene Crane doing a pretty good job of holding their own with the class of 2000 that, of course, was so good.
They've had a lot of work to go to school and get up to speed with the Hooters Pro Cup Series, and they've done a great job.
Mike Laughlin Jr. is our hard charger from 23rd to 2nd, and that is a pretty good run, getting our W.J. Plemons Investments Award as the worst start to the best finish. Our Carolina Kit Car Crunch Award, got to go to Martin Nesbitt. Yeah, that was a tough break late in the race. Struggled with a car that lost the brakes, but couldn't quite bring it home. Our next TV date will come to you from Cherville, Indiana, and Ileana Speedway. Join Rick Benjamin and the guys on Thursday night at 9 o'clock a week from tonight. And speedvision.com for all the information about the Hooters Pro Cup Series and racing in general around the country and around the world. Our thanks to Racing Electronics for keeping us in touch. Carolina Custom Golf Carts for getting us around the racetrack on site here, making our job a lot easier. USAR Pro Cup, again, comments, questions, criticism, and even praise. We'll take it all with your emails, and you can check out all information about the Hooters Pro Cup Series. Our thanks also to the Fairfield Inn, providing the Hallbrook Productions crew with accommodations, and to you, of course, for joining us. Our congratulations to Mario Gosselin, and my thanks to my broadcast partner Gene Crane and to Mark Allen down on pit road. I'm Brian Drebber. So long until next time, everybody. We're looking forward to it.